Welcome back to the Make Time for Success podcast. This is episode number 209. In this podcast episode, part 2 of the 2-part series on abundance mindset, we're going to explore 17 actionable steps that you can take immediately to embrace abundance in every area of your life, from practicing mindfulness and reframing challenges to creating a vision board and decluttering your space. You're going to learn how to cultivate a mindset that opens doors to limitless possibilities. Let's go listen to this fun episode together now. Hi, I'm Dr. Christine Lee, and I'm a psychologist and a procrastination coach. I've helped thousands of people move past procrastination and overwhelm so they could begin working to their potential. In this podcast, you're going to learn powerful strategies for getting your mind, body, and energy to work together so that you can focus on what's really important and accomplish the goals you want to achieve. When you start living within your full power, you're going to see how being productive can be easy and how you can create success on demand. Welcome to the Make Time for Success podcast. Okay, I'm really excited to dig into this episode. In the last episode, I really described the difference between having an abundant mindset and having a mindset of scarcity and lack. But today, we're going to concentrate fully on the practical steps, the ideas, the behaviors that you need to keep in mind and you need to keep in your life in order to maintain a really wonderful and abundance mindset. I have 17 concepts to share with you. I will go through them quickly and we'll enjoy. All right. The first one is practicing mindfulness and staying present in the current moment. That could be a trick, right? We can get distracted. We can get worried. We can feel like there's so much to do. But when we decide, you know what, I am enough, this moment right here is enough, then we get to play. We get to say, this is where I'm standing in my power. This is where I get to do the thing that I was planning on doing all day yesterday and just enjoy the present moment because the present moment is all we have. So the second tip that I have is to practice using positive affirmations, particularly when it comes to talking about yourself. If you're spending your days talking yourself down, thinking that you're not good enough, wondering when you're going to get off the couch, we're not going to be experiencing much abundance. But when you're telling yourself, you are enough, you are fantastic, you have handled things like this so beautifully before, things tend to go in a great direction. Number 3 is reframing negative situations to find the positive aspects. This is the silver lining tip. This is where you know that every lesson that you've had to learn in your life really did benefit you in the end. Those breakups, those failures, those mistakes that you really weren't intending to make, but happened anyway. Just learn to take all of those into your heart, be brave, be forgiving of yourself, but then learn the lessons, and then you will turn negative situations into positive ones. The 4th tip is to cultivate gratitude and express appreciation regularly. And for me, regularly means all day, every day. I am so grateful for the life that I lead, for the opportunities that I have, for the time that I've been given to be alive. And it just goes on from there. So practice having this open gratitude practice. By open, I mean just anything will fit in, right? I'm grateful for this desk. I'm grateful for this podcast. I'm grateful for the lighting that is always staring at me when I'm recording these things. You can be grateful for pretty much anything. Tip number 5 is recognizing the significance of your efforts and also appreciating the ripple effects that your efforts have. Let's take this podcast as an example. Not only am I grateful to be able to create this episode and to spend time thinking about what I'm going to put in this episode, I'm also grateful for the fact that it may very well help one or two or three or four even of you to have a better day, to think that your world is filled with abundance all of a sudden. That is a ripple effect, and that may hopefully be a very real one. So, in your own life, think to yourself, for the task list that you have today, what is the lasting effect going to be? How many people are you going to affect by your efforts? And be grateful for the power that you have. All right, we are up to number 6. This one is a tricky one. You can practice identifying and releasing your limiting beliefs. In a way, this is a heavy duty tip because our limiting beliefs are the beliefs that we hold that keep us really small, that keep us sometimes afraid, that keep us thinking, oh, well, maybe not today, maybe not me. It's those self-doubt kind of beliefs that it would be great for you to just examine, identify how many of them do you have? How often do they interfere with your smooth functioning throughout the day or throughout the month? And just decide, you know what? I'm going to practice not thinking that way today. And let me see what happens. Let me see what happens when I think abundantly, when I think that I am good enough, that I am solid, that I have so much experience to rely upon, that I have so much support and great vibes in my life. Think in that way instead of thinking, what's the next thing that is going to make me feel like I can't do this? Tip number 7, practicing generosity in all of its forms. And there's so many forms. You can give someone a compliment. You could give someone a little bit of your creativity. You can share a casserole with someone, whatever is your particular unique brand of generosity. Go do that today. Go do a little piece today. You do have the time, no matter how busy you are. Number 8, embracing unlimited thinking and expanding possibilities. This is just a mindset practice. And in reality, I think possibilities are ever expanding. We are giving birth to possibilities all the time. When you make a new recipe, you're creating something new. When you're going to meet a friend, you're creating a new memory for that person and for yourself. So you want to spread that type of thinking around and think, wow, I could do anything. And since I can do anything, what do I choose to do now? You won't feel as afraid. You won't feel as constrained. You won't feel like complaining so much. And you might just feel like you have a mindset of abundance. Number 9 is creating a vision board or a plan to really get those outcomes that you're hoping for. So vision boarding is really just making your dreams literally visible. You want to go to Portugal? Cut out a picture of Portugal and put it on a piece of paper inside your planner. We're headed towards the end of the year. People are preparing their new planners, or you could put it on canva.com and design a digital vision board for yourself to look at. Every time you look at your desktop, you're going to be reminded, oh, yeah, I'm planning on getting to Portugal before the end of this year or before the end of my life. Whatever it is, put it down, make it real so your brain knows where you want to go. Number 10, start with an abundant mindset even before you start taking action. We oftentimes fall into the trap of thinking that we can only feel well or successful or good about ourselves after we've succeeded. But the real trick is when we remember that we can make our success happen more quickly when we decide we're going to adopt that abundant, positive, successful mindset at the outset, even before we take our first step. We're going to decide we are winning. We are guaranteed satisfaction. And then you get to make the journey in a happier, more joyful, lighter way. Tip number 11. Here's, one of my favorite tips. We want to declutter your physical spaces because we need to make room for abundance. And The best way to do that is to literally create space for you to feel like you've got this big home, this big apartment, this big office, this big kitchen. We've got so much creativity that can fill the space once our clutter is actually taken out of the scene. Tip number 12, seek ways to increase your wealth through whatever way you can think of. You can ask for a raise, you can change jobs, you can pick up a side hustle, you could start saving your money in ways that you hadn't thought of before. And you can get scrappy. You can be resourceful and maybe sell your stuff online or teach something to someone and maybe charge a fee for it for once. There are so many different ways of accruing wealth and making your dollar go further. So let's start actually building our wealth and increasing our wealth in the process. Tip number 13, you want to prioritize your own vitality by taking care of your physical and mental and emotional well being. That, of course, is a process unto itself. That's a lot of things. That's like eating well, that is maintaining personal boundaries, that is keeping a reasonable schedule, that is going to sleep at a reasonable time. That varies between people, of course. But, when you take care of your physical self, your spirit, then abundance has room to connect to you. You have the spirit and the energy and the outlook to see abundance in your midst. So definitely protect and nurture your own vitality. Tip number 14, you want to develop your own mantra for abundance. So everybody's going to be different, right? Some of you might focus on actual dollars and cents kind of wealth. Others of you will think about relationships as being your source of inspiration and joy. And even more of you are going to think something like maybe organization is going to be your thing, or maybe physical strength, or maybe kindness, whatever it is for you. Nail down a mantra that you can always return to and always remind yourself of the good luck and abundance that you have. Number 15 is eradicate the physical and mental blocks that tend to get in your way. I have found as a psychologist that people act in patterned ways, right? We repeat sometimes the same mistakes over and over again, but that's generally because we need to learn that lesson. So if you have a pattern that is really annoying for you or really getting in your way, like procrastination, for instance, you might just want to take some really hardcore time to take a look at it, to examine the roots of it, and then really do away with it. Really just train yourself. You know what? I have enough time. It's not time that is my problem. It's my belief in myself, my lack of belief in myself that has always been the issue. So I'm going to turn that around. I'm going to adopt an abundant mindset, empower myself, and take the first step right away. Number 16, we're going to make a 30-day plan for you. And it can just be a really light plan, but for 30 days, you're going to make a plan for how to implement the tips that I just shared. How are you going to increase your wealth? How are you going to protect your body and your vitality? How are you going to be generous with your neighbors and friends? How are you going to talk to yourself in more positive ways? You're going to do all of this over the next 30 days. And I'm going to bet that you're going to feel fantastically better at the end of the month. And you know what? We're at the beginning of December. So what a better time. What better a time? English is hard sometimes. What better a time than to start now with this mindset of abundance so that we can start 2025 on top of our game, really, really feeling the best we've ever felt. And finally, tip number 17, we want to cultivate the belief that really anything is possible. Talk about abundance. When we can train our minds to see the wild possibilities and to even believe in the things we can't even fathom yet, then we know we are living in abundance. I hope you've enjoyed these 17 tips for making abundance happen in your daily and actual life. I have practiced so many of these, probably all of these in one way or the other. And I really have to say, they can't hurt, right? They can only help. So think positively. Remember, you are swimming in abundance. Use these tips, share these tips with your friends, share this podcast episode with your friends, and then return next week on Thursday for our next episode. If you'd like a reminder of these 17 tips for abundance, all you need to do is go to maketimeforsuccesspodcast.com/abundance list. Again, it's maketimeforsuccesspodcast.com/abundance list. I'll see you soon. Take care and enjoy your new day. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Make Time for Success podcast. If you enjoyed what you've heard, you can subscribe to make sure you get notified of upcoming episodes. You can also visit our website, maketimeforsuccesspodcast.com, for past episodes, show notes, and all the resources we mention on the show. Feel free to connect with me over on Instagram too. You can find me there under the name Procrastination Coach. Send me a DM and let me know what your thoughts are about the episodes you've been listening to. And let me know any topics that you might like me to talk about on the show. I'd love to hear all about how you're making time for success. Talk to you soon.